Hey, Rebel Bankers, this is your host, Chris Naugle, and welcome back to the show. I've got an extra special guest actually right next to me. This is one of the few ones where I actually get to bring my guest into our office and do this. So he flew in. This is Jonah Dew from the Cash Compound. And we're going to kind of talk about a lot of things, but mostly we're going to talk about banking. We're going to talk about the banking functions and how you can take back the banking functions in your life. He is an expert, and I'm going to let him tell you a lot more about himself in just a moment. But I want to talk just a second about you and your journey to becoming a rebel banker. So we talk about this all the time. Becoming a rebel banker always starts with the first step. And the first step can be any step you want, but you cannot do nothing. That's the only thing you have to do. I don't care if you grab a copy of my book, The Private Money Guide, or Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery, or any other book. Just get going and be in a hurry, because you know what? Every single day, time is wasting, and that time is time for you to become a rebel banker. So let's jump right into this. Jonah, welcome to the show.
Hey, I appreciate you having me, Chris.
Absolutely. So tell the audience a little bit about your journey, about your path. Like, how did you land where you're at? Like, let's take it back to the beginning,
Sure.
And then where it went from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, I'll kind of skip around. How about that? I'll skip around, but I will start at the beginning. I've been banking now for just a little bit over 5 years, pushing 6 years. Okay. And how I heard about banking was actually a little bit non-conventional. We have some friends where we live, and I'm from Greenville, South Carolina, but we have some.
A lot warmer there.
A little warmer than Buffalo, right? We have some friends there who have done some really cool things in their life and in business with their money. And I've just been a student for a really long time. So what happened was I started hanging around these people. I started to get to know them a little bit better and started to ask those questions, right? About what are you doing with your money? Where are you putting it? What things do I need to know as I move forward, as I start earning more, as I start learning more, right? So at the time, I was actually in banking. I was working at a conventional bank in my hometown. I was doing a couple different things. I did a little bit of kind of that teller type work. Mm-hmm. I moved up pretty quickly. I did a little bit of like the manager type work. I moved into the lending. So I was working in banking.
Were you a VP of anything?
I wasn't a VP, unfortunately.
Talk about that.
Okay. So I moved. I was all around in banking. I liked banking. I really did, but I wanted to get into insurance. So I actually transitioned into property and casualty insurance right around the same time I'm having these conversations with the mentors in my life. So long story short, one of the mentors that I asked that question to, he said, there's a book you have to read. He got really serious. He said, there's a book you have to read. And I've read it a lot of times. It's called Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash. Read that book. And so I got the book actually, and my brother is involved in this story too. And you'll hear from him later, guys. Okay, but we kind of do a lot of things together in business. So basically, we read the book, and the person who gave us the book basically said, "There's a webinar you have to get on after you read the book." And so I was on that webinar. With a gentleman who walked through the entire banking plan. And because of my background, banking, and now a little bit in insurance, I picked up the concept very quickly. Very quickly, I picked up the concept. So as soon as I saw how powerful it could be, I was ready to go. I was ready to move. And so it went as fast as I possibly could, which if you've gotten started with us, takes a second, right? Takes a little bit of time, a couple weeks, not too long to get your policy started. But once I did that, I was off to the races. So fast forward, now I've done a couple of really cool things. So one, I work in this business full time, teaching people how to use this banking concept in their own lives. Full time, I do that, and I create some pretty cool policy tools we'll talk about here shortly. Second thing is, from that very first policy 5 or 6 years ago, I'm now up to 11 total policies that I own. So went from 0 to 11 real quick. How about that? And third thing is, I've realized over the last couple years that we've got to be doing a little bit more for the people who are getting started, who want to learn more, understand how this can work for them, what they're going to be able to accomplish, what they can do, the goals that they can achieve. And so we've actually developed something pretty cool, an online learning platform, which we'll talk to you about as well. But we've developed that, got access, a lot of people using that, and just teaching them how they can use the policy. So it's a little bit about me and my history. So nothing special. I'm just from South Carolina. I'm from Greenville, South Carolina. I was working full time, but when I grasped the power of this, it really did change my life for the better. So,
yeah. So one of the things that we got to tell the audience is we're talking about banking and all this stuff, and they're probably sitting there being like, what are you talking about? Are you talking about like a regular bank? But it doesn't sound like it because you're mentioning insurance. Like, I think we got to take them back to the simple steps. Like, what are the steps? So, one of the biggest things all of is money and financial knowledge, and teaching people how money really works. That's what this podcast is all about. It's what I do across the country. It's what Jonah does. But for some of you, you're watching this probably wondering, what is this banking thing? What is this thing that you keep talking about that keeps changing people's lives? So let's do this. Let's take them through just a little journey of banking, like just from the simplest form all the way through to kind of what it means. Well, I'll talk a little bit about what it's meant for me, not just from debt repayment, but also from building a portfolio of real estate and also a professional lender, as a private lender, and how I use it. But we have to take you back to the beginning, because I can't have you thinking that banking is a regular conventional bank that you walk in, see 10 vice presidents, and they're all asking you, hey, what can we help you with? You want a sucker that says, what does the sucker say? Dum-dums. The sucker rapper always says dum-dums. And that's not the kind of bank we're talking about. So take it from there. Let's give them a real quick tutorial in this.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. So a lot of times when I say banking, some folks get confused, and I understand that. I understand absolutely. So let me explain. When I say banking, I am not talking about just a conventional bank, right? We're not talking about that at all. See, banking is actually a process, and conventional banks absolutely practice banking, but it's a process. Here's what I mean. See, conventional banks, or any bank that you're thinking of, small, big, local, national, it doesn't matter. They all work the same way. See, they're going to get money in their coffers, right, from the depositors, you and me alike. We put our money in conventional banks. Now, it's 2020, so why are we doing that now? It's really for that debit card and online banking, right? Now we can shop on Amazon, but we still do it. And when the banks get our money, see, they have to move our money. They have to use our money, or else the bank wouldn't make any. See, they can't put Chris Naugle's name on a $100 bill and go stick it in the back of the bank and think that it's going to grow or do something for them, right? The bank, they wouldn't make any money doing that. So the bank has to move it. So the banks are in the business of loans. Every single loan is an asset to the bank, and I'll just prove it to you. See, when the bank loans out money, first things first, they don't loan out their money. They loan out the depositor's money, the money that you and I have left there. That's the money that they loan. And when they loan it out, they upcharge it. They tack on interest, and everybody knows this, right? For cars and houses, credit cards, whatever else you can think of buying from or getting money from a conventional bank, they're going to upcharge it, right? So by the time you pay that, whatever it is, that car off over 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, not only did you give them back all the money that you borrowed, right? But you also gave them interest. So the bank just made a profit, just made money, just made interest off of your money, my money, right? Banks are doing that like crazy. They make billions of dollars every single year practicing banking, loaning out other people's money, upcharging it, tacking on interest, and accepting the payments. Like I mentioned before, every loan is an asset to the bank. So when I learned that we could be the bank, you actually can practice the banking function in your own life. That's what changed it, Chris. That was everything. When I realized I could take over that banking function and stop just letting the banks do it, but I could do it. I could use the money. I could earn off the money. I could recapture the money. I could do it again. I could make the profit just like the banks do. So that's the banking function that kind of consumed me when I learned about it, right? Because I realized I've got to do this. I've got to practice it in my own life. Look how much money the banks make. Look at their profits. I can do that too. So that's a little bit about the banking function.
Awesome. So, in the banking function, if you just look at it from the core, it's all about being in control of your money. It's about you taking back control, because one of the biggest problems is, like you mentioned, what do banks love? Banks love giving us credit cards. How many of you have credit cards, right? They love giving them out. It's like candy, it's like that Family Guy episode. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. They just keep giving these things out. But what we don't realize is, although that's convenient because we just get to go out there and buy whatever we want with these credit cards, the end result is being trapped. Having lots of credit card debt. The average family in America has $30,000 in credit card debt. Yep. You know what I got to say about that? That's a little something like this. That's what American families say every month when they get those credit card bills, and they have no way, and they just have never been taught how to take that money back. Because, one of the things we're always taught is how to build wealth by working harder, by working longer, by going out and hustling, taking more risk, and all the things we really don't want to do, but that's what we've been taught to do. But instead, what you help people do is you help them take back control of their money. You walk them through simple steps and a process to help them take back control of their money without having to work any harder, any longer, without taking on any additional risk, and at the same time taking back control of your money. So if it's possible to build wealth through your own debts and expenses that you already have, why doesn't everybody know about this? So Jonah, let's talk a little bit about the myth of why people don't understand this, why they've never heard of this, and why every single time we talk to people about this, they're like, man, that sounds too good to be true. I got a call here coming up, and I can tell you right now, I sent the guy the numbers, and I can tell you he wanted to do a call because he's thinking, man, this just looks too good to be true. How many times have you heard that?
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. Absolutely. It happens all the time. Just like you said, again, what I do now is, as you can probably tell, I get super excited about it. But what I do now is share exactly what was able to come into my life and make it so profitable with everyone else, right? And I share them how they can become the bank in their own life. And like the secret sauce is that you said, we're not going to show you how to work. You don't have to work any harder. You don't have to take any additional risk. You don't have to give up control. Absolutely not. We're not going to show you those things. We're going to show you how to do the opposite. So one of the things that we do is we take your debts, your expenses, whatever they are, and we're going to show you how to eliminate those, pay them down. A lot of times, many times, on a much faster scale than it would have taken you traditionally. And we're going to do it all while utilizing that banking function, just like we talked about earlier, where you're even going to make profit in the same time. So it's a really cool thing. So that's all that I do. So lots and lots and lots, just like you're saying, I show folks how they can accomplish this, how they can do it in their own life. And we hear that, right? This got to be too good to be true. How come I didn't know? Well, I don't have a great answer for how come you don't know, besides the fact that it's not something that's taught in school, right? Your parents, your grandparents, they didn't know, but it can start with you. Absolutely, it can. But really, I'd say this about why people haven't heard about it yet is just because it's not widespread. It's not something that we're taught to practice. You've got to understand that the ways that we're taught to treat money now, the places we're taught to put money now, benefit lots of other people besides us, right? Putting money in a system that you can utilize it and have control of it the whole time is just not something that's widespread taught, plain and simple. The method that we're using is not a secret. It's not something that's been locked up under key, hush, hush, a secret. Just a lot of people don't know about it because it's so counterintuitive to what the world is telling you to do with your money. And so a lot of times you've just got to unlearn a little bit about what you're used to, where you used to be put the money, what the things that how you think money works, and relearn what's actually happening with your money and where you actually need to be putting it as we move forward, right? It's all about putting it in a place where you can keep control and have it and use it. You don't have to give it away, lock it up, things like that. So yeah, that's a little bit about what I have about why a lot of people haven't heard about it yet.
So once somebody learns about this system and they learn how to use it, how much work does it take? Like, because I know we always talk about these steps, right? First you help them with their budget, you know, the cash compound I'm talking about. So you help them figure their budget out, and then you take them through different steps to keep everything simple, because I know a lot of people need help. I know a lot of people need to take back control of their money, but a lot of people just don't want to put the work in it, because it is a lot of work. First off, it's a work on your mind, because it's the complete opposite of everything you've been told about money your entire life. So you hear this, and then all of a sudden everything's different. And the first thing you're going to think is, something's not right here. Well, everything's right here. It's just you've never been taught. But then all of a sudden your mind starts thinking, this is going to be a lot of work, and I don't have time. I'm busy working. I'm busy hustling. I'm busy out there making money to put food on the table. Like, how am I ever going to take this on top of everything else? Yeah. But the cash compound, your company, you guys have made it so easy to do. And you guys have developed tools. And actually, don't you just do it for people?
A lot of times, yeah.
Talk a little bit about the steps and the different things that people could do in their own lives, because it's very simple. I mean, really, this might sound complicated. You talk about banking and taking back the banking functions, and you're thinking, I don't know how to be a banker. I never worked for a bank. I never worked for Wall Street, and I never did any of this. So I don't want to do any of this. Like, isn't there just a button you can hit? Isn't there just one thing they can do to change their lives?
Yeah, absolutely. That's an easy button, right, Chris? That's an easy button.
Those don't exist.
Right. So our company, the Cash Compound, all that it is an online subscription-based education system. That's all it is. So you can learn exactly what I'm talking about. We've broken this stuff down into bite-sized chunks, bite-sized pieces for you. So it's so easy to walk through this stuff, you know, step 1 through 6, step 1 through 5, things like that, just to make it so simple. So you're exactly right. One of the first things that we're going to walk through and talk through with you on a personal level is your budget. You've got to do that, because so many people are giving away so much money to the third parties, to the creditors, and they don't even realize it. A lot of people are focused on interest rates on all of their cars and houses. And it's not that, it's the volume. You're giving away so much money. So one of the first things that we do is help you budget. The second thing that we're going to do is, of course, after the budget, we're going to help you save. But the key ingredient into helping you save is to put your money in the right bank. Put your money in the right bank, right? You can't put it in the third-party banks. You've got to put it in the bank that you control. Absolutely. So, well, not only do we help you budget, we're going to help you save. We're going to help you start to put your money right in the right bank. And we're going to help you do that by starting these banking policies, just like we've talked about, because that's the way that you can take control of your money. After we help you start, we're gonna prepare you. Basically, it's the prep stage, right? So that's when we're gonna teach you all of the steps that you need to know. It's hand-holding. It's walking you through every step of the way. It's not a set it and forget it type, you're on your own system. That's not what it is at all. We are literally going to walk you through every step of the way so you know. And we built these classes, these Cash Compound courses that you can go through to learn exactly what you're trying to accomplish with your new bank, right? It doesn't matter what it is. I don't care if it's paying off debt, if it's buying new things, purchases, cars, houses, supplementing income. It doesn't matter what it is. We're going to be able to help you and show you how you can do that using the bank, using your own bank, right? So then after that, we help you develop. We're going to walk you through that plan, whatever your goals are. And you get to tell us. We've got some pretty cool tools where you can punch them in and tell us about them, give us all your specifics. But anyway, we're going to walk you through that plan. We're going to develop the plan and walk you through it. And then last but not least, step 6 is bank. Bank, absolutely. We're going to show you just like the conventional banks do. When you loan money, upcharge it, pay it back. That way you keep all the money, right? The bank keeps all the money in that scenario. If the bank has the money, they loan it out, they upcharge it, get interest, and they have all those people pay it back. The bank's in control the whole time, right? So all we're going to show you to do is how to do it with your bank. That's it. And we're going to, it's one step, this bank, and implement it into everything that you've got going on in your life. You don't have to change your spending habits, change your cash flow, work harder, take risks, none of that. We're just going to show you how to implement this one thing and how to be able to still accomplish all your financial goals, but earn at the same time. It's really cool how we can do that. So
one of the things, I mean, that's the steps. I mean, they're very simple. I mean, but in the budgeting process, how many people do you run across? Because I know I find these people all the time that they see it They learn just a little bit about the banking, and then all of a sudden they're like, I don't know, I'm spending too much money. I can't save anything. The budget process, like step number one, how often do you find hidden money that they're giving away that they can just take back immediately to then save? Because obviously a lot of people, if they just think about saving, they're like, I can't save anything. I don't have any extra money that I can save. But the budget, isn't that what that step's for?
Yeah, absolutely. It happens a lot. It really does. A lot of times when we look through your personal finances, one, we're going to tell you and give you some guidelines about how much you should be spending on certain things, right? And again, not everything is set in stone, cut, dry, simple. I understand that there's differences for your situation. But yeah, so many times do we go through and we're able to find extra money or show them how we should be redirecting some money they're already spending into something better, right? To be able to get them to step two, which is save, right? To be able to actually generate some money for them to be able to use in their life, in their lifestyle. So it happens all the time. I mean, I've got to say, plus 60, 70, 80%, right? It's just always going to happen. That's what we're trained to do. We're here. We're going to walk you through it. Not our first rodeo. We've been doing this for a little bit of time. So we're going to be able to help you just like we've helped thousands of other people do that too.
Yeah. And I think that's the best part is that what they've created at the Cash Compound in the map is literally a system that allows them to educate. It's a step-by-step process that walks anybody. I mean, I always say if somebody can fog a mirror, they can start banking. I mean, in a roundabout way. I mean, that might not be entirely factual, but pretty darn close. And they, doing that and not having to understand all of this because the process is going to teach you about that. And the process is also going to help you understand the myths that you've learned your whole life and the things about money that you have not been taught. Because most of our lives, including myself, I've been taught to give money to other people. Let the advisors manage the money. Heck, I was an advisor for 16 years. I managed lots of people's money and then just give money to other people, park money at the bank. I mean, it was always growing up. How much money can I keep in the bank? How quick can I get $1 million in the bank? Do you know what I think about? You know what? When I think about having $1 million at the bank, there's this crazy fear that comes over me, like that woman screaming earlier. That's how I think. Because having $1 million in the bank, I feel like the bank at any time or the government could just take my money. And people don't realize that when the laws changed, the banks in the time of crisis literally can freeze all your bank accounts and just take that money. But people don't realize that. Oh, it's FDIC insured. I love that one. What does that really mean? What is the actual, do you know the numbers behind the FDIC?
I don't think I know the numbers, but I think it's 250,000. Is that? Okay.
That's how much they guarantee, or quote unquote.
Okay, go. I don't know.
And I don't either. I mean, it's not much. So I think it's like 70 cents for every 100, or maybe it's 70 cents for every 10. Doesn't matter. It's nothing like you think. Yeah. They don't have enough money to bail us all out if the banks go down like they almost did in 2008, which is what the Rockefellers and the JP Morgans and the Rothschilds, that's why they use this banking system. They didn't trust banks. I mean, and nor should you. And you shouldn't be giving control of your money to the banks, just like the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and all those notorious names that you know about. They didn't give up control of their money. They just found better ways to bank and better ways and places to put their money. And literally, like what we do, and especially what you help people do, it involves people changing one thing. If you wanted to completely change your life and all you had to do was change one thing, would you change that one thing?
I would.
I certainly would. But a lot of people, that's all it is. It's changing one thing, and that one thing is where that money goes first. That's it. Pay yourself first. That's the thing. Right. Your money's going somewhere. Your money's going to Visa, Discover, the banks. Your money's going elsewhere. It always is. 90 cents of every dollar is going to someone else. So what if just changing one thing in your life, and that's where the money goes first, could change the dynamic of everything else you're doing? But the other thing too, I want to talk a little bit about is every day you're talking to people, you're hearing about situations, you're seeing people's literally horror stories unfold. And then what you're doing is showing them this system and seeing this transform. I mean, I know I've done it with you many times with my own stuff. And I still, after doing it for as long as I have with 6 banking policies now, when you did my last map, I keep looking at the thing and I want to turn it upside down and be like, how is that possible that in 19 months, all of this is gone? Yep. Can you just explain I mean, people are listen, maybe you don't have any debt and this podcast maybe isn't really hitting the nerve for you, but maybe you know people that have debt or you are in debt and you just don't know how that's even possible. You see the commercials, the Dave Ramsey's where 40 some $1,000 paid off in 36 months, whatever it might be. Look, folks, that's not even good. Like, I think we can do that in half the time with this system because we got one additional step that the Ramseys of the world don't have. No disrespect to him. I love what he does, but this is better. Straightforward, simply put, it's a better method and a better system using the same banking principles. And when you show people this, what is the reaction? And just actually talk to them a little bit about how you work with somebody. They give you, you do the budget, that you develop their plan for them, and then you show them and teach them how to work that plan.
Yep.
And again, they changed one thing, folks, just one thing. And then all of a sudden, when you finish that map, they literally see the next 2 years of their life and they see how this impacts them. Like, what is the response you get?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the beginning, a lot of times what we'll do is we'll work together and we'll get kind of a comprehensive list of all of your debts and expenses, kind of everything that you've got coming out, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to use your bank in order to accomplish those financial goals you have. So I'll let you go through and kind of tell me what you want from your life, what you're trying to accomplish, like I mentioned earlier. So some people say, listen, I want to go as fast as I can to pay off debt. Some people say, I've got debt, I want to pay it off, but I really need to buy braces coming up or send the kid to school or whatever it is. It doesn't matter, right? We're going to show you how to get it done. So for instance, like with a debt payoff, because a lot of people start there, lots of people start there. It's just introducing this one thing into that debt payoff plan and program that we've got kind of designed and built for them. So we're just going to show them how they can, again, not work any harder. It's the same payments you've been paying, right? It's not take on any additional risk. You don't have to do anything crazy, lock your money up, put it somewhere crazy. It's all about just having this banking policy in the mix. What we're going to do is just like the banks. We're going to loan the money out to pay off the debts, right? Loan the money from the bank now that you control. Loan it to yourself, pay off the debts. So we're going to pay them off, pay them down, whatever we can do. Anything we don't pay off, it just continues to get its normal payment. Continue to get its normal payment. That's all. But then we're going to redirect all the money that from debts we've paid off back to the policy. That's the repayment, right? Just like the banks. You loan money out, the bank's got to take the money back, right? That's the whole thing. But it sounds simple, but using this process, we've been able to help thousands of people pay off their debts so fast. I'm talking about, I've seen, so some really cool things that have happened for me. So I'll tell you this too. The response right at the beginning normally is like, okay, I'm trusting you, let's do it. But what makes me happy is when we finally pay things off. It feels so good when they call you back and they say, listen, I paid off the Amex, the credit card, I paid off the car, things like that. That what makes me happy. Like, awesome. Like, woo, you know what I mean? Like, thank you. You're using it. It's working for you. I told you it was going to work. But we've been able to accomplish some pretty cool things. I've got countless stories about people who have used their policies to pay off certain debts, paid off the car, paid off the house, paid off the boat, whatever it is. And we've got some pretty cool, like big stories too. I've got some folks that have paid off $400,000 of debt in 36 months, almost $1 million, $997,000 of debt in about 56 months, things like that. We've been able to go really, really fast, and really, really efficient just by adding that one thing. So yeah, a lot of times at the very beginning, they're just, okay, I'm going to trust you. We're going to do it. I've heard it works, things like that. But it really comes real for me when we start paying that stuff off. Let's pay off 2 things, 3 things, 4 things. Let's make it 6 months and have 5 things, 6 things. Like, let's move through this and show you that it's working, because that's when they really get the energy too, right? After you pay off half the debt, you've, recaptured almost half of what's going out of your family every month. You know, that could be $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 that was leaving.
That could be
Life-changing numbers, right? That now you're able to keep, which is super helpful just in case you have an emergency or something, right? Because you've got all this money that you're keeping now instead of having to send to the car people and the Amex people, right? And but that's when it really picks up energy, because then they're happy, they're ready to go. They're like, oh, I'm getting it, I've got it. You know, we're gonna keep moving. I don't need your help anymore. I know what was happening. I know what to do next. You know, things like that. That's where it gets me excited. So yeah, that's a little bit about that process. But again, we're going to walk you through it. It's not something that you got to figure out on your own. We don't want you to figure it out on your own. We want to be able to help you and share in those stories with you. So that way, when you accomplish that, it's a celebration, right? It's not just, I did it, but it's, we did it. We helped you. We were able to accomplish that. And then the cool thing about what we do is we just move you on to the next goal. So now that we've got this banking system, we've recaptured all the money, we paid off debt. What's next? Are we buying new stuff, new houses, new cars? Are we, what are we doing? What are we doing now that we've recaptured all this money?
Keep spending money.
Right.
That's the funny thing that people don't get.
Right. So that's a really cool thing about what we've developed in our process, why it's so unique and so special and helps so many people. So,
yeah. And one of the things too, I think a lot of people, when they think about paying off debt, I think they have to like give something up. They have to go down to, I don't want to say the eating rice and beans thing, but I've heard that before, eat rice and beans for, a year and you'll be able to pay your debt off. Don't go to Starbucks. If you love Starbucks, stop doing that. But this system, people don't have to change anything in their life.
Yep.
They just change where the money goes first, and then the system fixes that problem. So not to go too much deeper into that, but that's a really cool thing is if you could it's like having your cake and ice cream. I guess that's an easy way to put it. One of my favorite stories is I got a good friend and he makes a ton of money. So maybe he's on the other end of the spectrum where his problems are different than, most people's problems where they have debt. He doesn't have debt, but you know what he has a problem of? Because he makes so much money, he pays a ton of money in taxes. And every time I talk to this guy, you know what he's always complaining about? Paying taxes. He's just like, I can't believe how much money I got to pay the government. He's not bragging. This is his pain body. This is what gets him and keeps him up at night. And he saw the system. He saw the presentation. He already had cars leased, so it wasn't looking to buy cars. But he's like, you know what? If this works for getting all the money back for all the cars you ever buy, drive, and own, can I use this to pay my taxes? And these guys put together a plan. And you know what he's doing? Instead of giving the government the quarterly taxes, he's putting the quarterly taxes over into the banking system. He changed one thing, just who's getting the money first. And then all he does is when the taxes are due, he just pays the taxes and repeats that process over and over. And in time, he literally gets all the money back for the taxes he pays. Yep. You know how happy that makes him? He literally goes around telling all of his guys, I'm getting all my money back for all the taxes I pay. And his friends are like, man, keep having another one. They don't believe him. It's always the same thing because people are in disbelief that there's actually a method to do this. But it's been around forever. And that's what you guys have done is with Cash Compound, you're educating people the ways to use this, but on a case-by-case plan, right? You're almost taking people through a process and allowing them to custom build what they want. It's not some just pre-built thing that they just come in and, this is the only way it works. No, it's different for everybody.
Right. Yeah. Just like I mentioned before, it's whatever your goals are, that's what we're going to help you with. So, excuse me. So it doesn't matter if you do debt payoff. That's just a really common one because a lot of people have that. We also show like purchasing cars. Again, it's just because it's common and we want to show you that there's multiple things you can do. But actually taxes is becoming a lot more common. A lot of people are using this to recapture the money that they're giving up in taxes. So yeah, that's a great example. Doesn't matter what the goal is, right? Like I mentioned to you before, doesn't matter. So his goal was paying off taxes. We're going to develop a plan to show him how to do that and get the money back, right? He's going to be in the center. He's the bank as opposed to having to use a conventional bank, losing the money there, they're making money off you, things like that. So absolutely.
So the whole banking function that is on the back end, right? It's the machine, the banking policy that does a lot of the work, but there's still a lot of work on the back end of tracking all this stuff. And you have single-handedly, you and your brother through Cash Compound and what you do have created tools that walk people through this and tools that actually will make this banking process much easier. Can you just tell everybody watching this just a little bit about those tools and kind of what they do and how they can help people?
Sure, absolutely. So just like Chris is saying, when we facilitate these banking policies for you, right? Because we want to make sure they work exactly how we're telling you they work how good ours work, right? We don't want you to mess it up and try to do it yourself. So we facilitate them for you. With these banking policies, there can be a whole lot of paperwork involved that, again, you can go through if you want to, but a lot of people are trusting us, believing in us, going off of what we say is going to be possible, what we've shown them is possible, some of the numbers that we put in front of them that come from exactly what's going to happen in their new banking policy, so they don't go through all the paperwork, right? Mm-hmm. So what we've done is we've simplified a lot of those things. One of the most important things that you can know about your banking policy are the numbers. Exactly how much cash is going to be available for you to use this year, next year, this month, next month, as the years go on, whatever it is. And so that's one of the tools that we've been able to design. This tool is like spot on, like print it off, put it on the fridge type idea, because this is how much money is going to be, right? This is how much money is coming out of this policy that you can use over and over and over. I love this tool because this is the budget. Right when I first started and I looked at the numbers, I saw how big they get. I saw how the money can continue to grow, how I can continue to use it. My mind started racing, right? Oh, how many years do I need to have the policies going? How much do I need to be putting in? How much can I get out, right? This tool is going to answer those questions for you. That's why it's one of my favorite. That's why I always say, put it off, stick it on the fridge. I really do. Then, of course, we've got our map, our very popular debt payoff tool, which will walk you through that debt payoff if you have third-party debt, if that's what you need to accomplish in your life. We've got lots of others. We've got very specific tools for your specific need, okay? You call and you say, I got to put the kids through college. That's my number one concern. That's what that's what keeps me up at night. That's what I need to accomplish. That's what I want you guys to help me with. We have a tool for you that'll show you exactly how you're going to be able to do that. It doesn't matter if it's one child, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't matter. We want to be able to help you. It doesn't matter if college is 5 years away, right? 10 years away, 15 years away. It doesn't matter. We're going to be able to help you with a tool specific to your situation. These are not cookie cutter type. Here, just look at this one and it's close. That's not what it is. This is specific to you every single time. So that way, exactly what you're doing as you move forward and how you're going to be able to utilize this banking policy, the banking aspect in your life. That's a little bit about what we do and helping people. And
I remember one thing when I was an advisor, I remember an analogy, and I got to tell you, because it just kind of came to my mind when he was saying that about tools is, everybody's tool is going to be different, look different. And it's kind of just like, if you needed a hole drilled, you would go to the hardware store, or the big box hardware store, you'd buy a drill bit. Yeah. But how many different drill bits are there? There's different colored drill bits. There's different size drill bits. There's drill bits that don't even look like drill bits. And what are all these fancy drill bits there for? To drill a hole. The result is somebody needs a hole. And that hole, to get that, you need the drill bit, but you need the right size drill bit, the right colored drill bit, the right drill bit for the material you're going through. There's no one hole that's exactly the same. This is kind of the same thing. Like, you need a tool. It doesn't matter what the tool looks like. It doesn't matter the size of the tool. It doesn't matter how you build the tool, as long as the result is your hole gets drilled, if that's the right way to say it. But I remember that analogy. I did a terrible job of it when it was told to me. It was awesome because it was talking about, like, somebody just needs a hole, and the drill bits aren't sexy. They're not something you go and get excited about like a car, but it gets the job done.
Right.
And these guys at the Cash Compound just get the job done. And it's just the perfect, marriage, Money School, the Money Multiplier, the Cash Compound, in unison. All these different companies in these different systems all play to basically fulfill one thing. And that is to build wealth for you and to show you the way to do it. So with the Cash Compound, now that we've kind of talked about this the whole time, if they wanted to get more info, you guys have, they've put together, they came out here. So first off, they flew out here and they got an offer just for this podcast. They wanted to give you guys something for free. What do you guys call it? Freemium?
Yep, freemium.
Freemium. They wanted to give you something for free, and I thought that was fantastic. I'm like, let's do it. So tell them like what you can give them for free.
Yeah, absolutely. We've put together kind of like a starter course, so you can see what we're all about and see how we're going to help you before you have to do anything or before you need to take any action, right? So we call it our crash course. Our crash course is completely free of charge for you guys today listening to this podcast. We're going to have some details on how to get that kind of surrounding the podcast, so just look for that. But we absolutely want to offer that to you. That is completely free of charge. We wanted to make sure that the listeners were going to have an option where they could go and get access to some of the things that we've developed, some of the things that we've done, watch a couple of our videos, see a couple of our tools, kind of before they jump on board and just take your word for it, right? You want to be able to touch it with their own hands. So absolutely, our crash course inside our website, the Cash Compound, is going to be completely free of charge for you guys. And,
I'm going to put it in the description here so you guys all know where to click, but is there a website they can go to check it out?
Sure. Yeah. It's thecashcompound.com. So that's CASHCOMPOUND, cashcompound.com. And it's going to be /bank with us, BANKWITHUS, thecashcompound.com /bank with us. That'll give you your free access for this podcast. Again, the listeners of this podcast will get access to there where you can walk through that crash course right now. If you want to show you a little bit about what we're about, show you how we're going to help you understand the banking function as you move forward.
That is awesome. So, I think this has been some unbelievable knowledge. Thanks for coming out and being on this and for the free offer. But, earlier I said, all of you are on your journey to becoming a rebel banker and you need to take action. Just take action there. Just go to thecashcompound.com /bank with us and start. Just get started. Doesn't even cost you anything. Freemium. I'm going to steal that. Freemium. That's phenomenal. But I hope you guys all enjoyed this. There's some golden nuggets dropped, some stuff you've never heard about, and probably some stuff that gets you really thinking about, well, what is this really? Well, the good news is we're also going to share a webinar so that you can understand the whole money multiplier side of this. The money multiplier and the cash compound work in unison with one another. The tools work with the system. So we're going to put both links up. Grab your freemium copy of the Cash Compound. Check that out. And also we'll put the webinar up so you guys can check out the entire webinar and learn how to get going with your banking system and changing your life. So thank you all for joining us today. And thank you for coming on out.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.